Everyone, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. The state of Carolina has announced that they've completed the funding from the ARPA Capital Projects Fund. They're going to be dispersing the rest of those funds, and they are opening the application process for the ARPA State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. Be right back with more. Thanks for joining me. Rick Husey here with Decorum with Broadband Deployment News. So you see here, Lumos and others to share $71.5 million in South Carolina broadband funding. State accepts more applications. So that's there's two funds in the American Rescue Plan Act. There's the Capital Projects Fund that was $10 billion that a lot of states have taken advantage of that are using for broadband. And then there was $350 billion in a state and local fiscal recovery fund that could be used for broadband. States are using it. A lot of states have used it, a good portion of it, if not most of it, for broadband. Some states are using part of it for broadband and for other infrastructure projects. South Carolina now has basically said that this is going to finish up their capital projects fund, and they have just now opened applications for the other fund. So we'll talk about that as well. So you see here, South Carolina Broadband Office awarded $71.5 million in rural broadband funding to Lumos and at least one other provider this week. And at least one other, they don't know. Telecompetitor is trying to find out. But we know how much Lumos is getting. And it's not nearly the 71.5. So we'll see if Telecompetitor finds out who the other operators are. The funding came in the final round of the state's American Rescue Plan Act Capital Projects Fund 1.0 grant program. The South Carolina Broadband Office also has begun accepting applications for up to $40 million in rural broadband funding through the state's ARPA SLFRF 3.0 program. The award to Lumos announced this week was for over $1.2 million. So as you can see, that's it's just barely, it's not even the 1.5 there, so $71.5 million. So the $1.2 million is to cover some of the cost of bringing high-speed broadband to 700 unserved and underserved locations in Spartanburg County. Company will contribute an additional $800,000 to cover total deployment costs of approximately $2 million. So right there, I looked at it. I guess I didn't. I think that comes out to like a 66% match that Lumen is doing on that. So they're kicking in a lot into that. And actually, the match overall for the program, I do have that. The match overall for the program, was 36%, approximately average 36%. So Lumen's doing well there on the match. So that's going to bring it up to $200 million total for that 1.2 that Lumen's getting. A total of 16 projects received funding in the ARPA CPF program awards announced this week. So, that could mean that there's at least one of the provider that's got multiple projects, but I'm suspecting it's more providers. There's a map, and when you see this, there's a link there. And by the way, I'll link to this article as well as a couple other things I'm going to look at here in a minute. There's a map on the SCBBO website of providers that have won South Carolina broadband awards through the ARPA CPF program. That's, again, including, not just this round, but multiple rounds. And then it mentions the companies here among the companies. So you got AT&T, Charter, Comcast. So you got some large national providers. Comporium, Farmers, Home Telephone, Hori, they're local. Lumos, as we just saw here. Carolina Connect, Palmetto Rural Telephone, Sandhill Telephone, True Vista, WC Fiber, and Zytel. According to an SCBBO press release, the ARPA CPF, and again, you can click there if you want to see that, the ARPA CPF program has awarded a total of more than $185 million to 15 providers and 34 projects in 41 countries. And that's where I was getting the $290 million, so that's how much total with matches. So it's $185 million plus matches brought it to $290 million. So again, their average match is about 36% or so. South Carolina ARPA SLFRF 3.0 is opening up. Again, that's the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund through ARPA. The Broadband Office began accepting applications for up to $40 million remaining in the state's ARPA SLFRF 3.0 program. So when it says remaining, I didn't look it up, but I'm assuming 3.0, they've had rounds on that one before. So if you are in South Carolina, or I guess you don't have to be, if you want to build broadband out in South Carolina, it says interested parties have until March 25th to apply. South Carolina's General Assembly allocated over $214 million in federal ARPA to the ARPA SLFRF program. So yeah, they must have, this is probably not the first round of this. This may be, it doesn't say it's finishing it out, this 3.0 program, but maybe once it's awarded, they'll say that. Additional information can be found at this link if you want to check that out. And I believe that might have been this, I believe, is what opened. I know it opens up to their site, but you can see here. So this is the application, kind of the timeline. So see here, the application submission period opens 1/12, so pretty much right now. ARPA 3.0 application period opens for actually 2/12, excuse me, 2/12. That was the submission period opening. Okay. Applications open. Application period closes on March 25th. Then you can see this is going to be a while. So you've got a comment period that closes on April 11th. Internal application review, April of 2024. Application curing in May of 2024. And then notices to proceed issued in June of 2024. So it looks like they're going to get the applications in, check them out, make sure everything's okay, and then in June of 2024 start telling service providers who won and that they can proceed. So that's pretty interesting timing-wise because they're also working on BEAD. Makes me think that they will not be doing anything as far as releasing any BEAD funding until this is done, because really what they're going to want to do is figure out who's going to get this money and where. And then those will be committed funds that they know about. Obviously, the state will know about. They're doing both. And they will then make sure that they are not sending BEAD funding to those areas. So that would be my guess there. And then you can see there's some milestones as far as construction going through 2025, 2026, all the way out to August 2026 when, June 2026 when project completion is supposed to be done. And then the final reporting in August of 2026. So again, I linked to this, but I believe there's a link in that press release as well. I also wanted to look at this. This was Lumos being in the news again this week. See here, fiber optic internet provider begin construction for Wilmington service. This is North Carolina. And this is something that actually was announced back last year that they were going to be doing this, but now they're announcing that the engineering portion of that is done. So you see here, Lumos fiber optic internet provider based in High Point announced on Monday that it completed the engineering for its $56 million project in New Hanover County. Project first announced in April, there's a link there to that, includes plans to build 655 miles of fiber optic technology in portions of Wilmington, Carolina Beach, Ogden, Myrtle Grove, Castle Hayne, and Wrightsboro, according to the release. Construction is planned to begin soon as the permitting process is underway. So again, they've got the engineering done. Mentioned here, the engineering process included engineers walking the neighborhoods and driving through the streets to see where the team would be able to lay cables. So Derek Kelly, Lumos Vice President of Market Development. So that would be the walkouts to see what kind of make-ready work you have and what you can do aerial, what you can bury, those where, and that kind of thing. So it's a lot of that real detail work. And then going into the actual engineering drawings in our system to figure out exactly where we're going to place facilities, if it's going to be in the ground, in the air, what side of the street it's going to be on, going through all this real technical stuff. Lumos officials have not set a timeline for construction yet, he said, but he expects it to begin this year and continue through the end of 2025. So these are, this is not South Carolina, but these are locations that will be committed, should be committed from the standpoint of, I think that's how it should work. Now, it doesn't mention that they're getting any funding from this, but certainly they want to make sure if they're going to do this, they're not going to want to be thinking about these areas where they're building, if they're unserved and underserved areas that they could build and then have money allocated through BEAD or some other funding program that could be North Carolina ARPA or something like that, BEAD or some other funding program where they're building the fiber on their own dime completely, and then somebody comes in and overbills them with federal funding. So it could be that they're in touch with the state and they've committed, yes, we're going to be doing this. Most households and businesses in the area use cable internet, Kelly said. There are some areas where there is a fiber overlap, but cable is the most common and DSL is less common. His team targeted areas of New Hanover County that did not have access to fiber internet. So not necessarily did not have access to internet, but fiber internet. So it could be that there's cable operators there that are providing over 120, 100 by 20, or could provide over 100 by 20. If they haven't upgraded their cable plant, they could go to DOCSIS 3.1 and do some high splits, do some other things to mid and high splits, do some other things to increase their download speed and their upload speed. So this sounds like it will be a competitive offering. So it is possible that in most of these areas that BEAD funding would not apply anyway. If you've already got a provider there that is providing something over, let's say, certainly 20 by 3 and probably over 100 by 20, BEAD funding would not be there. But there's other areas where it mentions DSL, less common, it says, and there could be certainly some old DOCSIS plant that's not over 100 by 20 that would be considered underserved. So don't know what the lay of the land is there, but it sounds more like a competitive offering where they're going to be coming in and being another provider in the area where they're going to be offering fiber to compete against probably mostly cable. And then DSL could be their DSL. Who knows if they had that. I don't know if they did. They were, what was it? I think Lumos and North State Fiber, they kind of came out of that, I think a merger between those two, and then they took on the Lumos name, if I recall. Lumos officials are expected to attend the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce's annual meeting Thursday. Backing from local leaders has helped the company expand its footprint in Wilmington, according to the release. And I don't know if that backing is talking about funding or maybe just local leaders pushing for this and maybe giving them some leeway on taxes or other kinds of things. So the chamber helped connect Lumos officials with businesses, Kelly said, and there's one thing they did. Another reason Lumos will be at the event is because company officials want to connect with the public and make it known that they're laying fiber optic cables in the area, he says. So they're trying to get the word out now because it is harder if you're going into an area that's already got an incumbent provider that's providing fairly speedy service. And I want to say, again, if it's 100 by 20 or better, let's say it's over 100 by 20 and it's a cable operator, then it's going to be harder than going into an area, obviously, where you've got, DSL, something less, let's say, than 25 by 3. So it's going to be, it's a harder uphill climb to you get your return on investment, get a number of customers over because, unless people are dissatisfied, it's harder to get them to switch. You can come in with what sounds like a better product and they'll think about it. You come in with a better product at a lower price, they'll think about it even more, but they're still hesitant to change. That's just the way it is. There's got to be something prompting that. They're unhappy in some way. It's either really expensive, they don't like the price, or when they have the service going up and down, or when they call, they can't get help. Those kinds of things will make somebody want to leave at that point. So again, this looks like a competitive offering. And by the way, if you are in a situation where you're having a problem, maybe helping your internet subscribers, maybe your call center is getting backed up, you can't find people, or you just don't have the resources to do it, think about us. We do provide and have been providing outsourced technical support for internet services since 1995. It was back when it was dial-up, and then DSL, and then cable modem service and fiber. Fixed wireless, as the internet has changed and grown, we have as well. So we now have call centers that handle all types of technologies. And we don't just stop with the connection. We'll help with more complicated stuff that most internet service providers do not want to deal with, like somebody's home networking, their Wi-Fi, security suites, help them help them figure out how to get, if they've had a virus, help them figure out how to get that cleaned off. We really go into depth. It's our opinion that we don't want to let somebody off the phone unless they're satisfied. It's our goal to make them a raving fan so that they're a raving fan of you. So check us out. You see our information there if you would need any kind of support services for your broadband subscribers. And you don't have to get 24/7 from us. We do that. But if you have your own staff and they're overwhelmed, we can do overflow support. We can do weekend and evening support. If you don't have those hours, we can do all kinds of things for you. Thanks for watching today. If this was interesting, if you give me a like on the video, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to our channel, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and you will be notified when I'm live. Thanks again. See you next time. Bye-bye.